Welcome back to The World Remembers. We saw there just on the ABC coverage from the United States, we came in on it just a few moments late, but the discussion there obviously was with the FBI and with security analysts in the United States about how the FBI and the intelligence agencies got it so wrong before September 11 last year and how much safer things are now, if at all. There is some breaking news. A story's just been moved on the wire service here coming out of France, which says that the head of France's counter-espionage service says teams of trained Islamic extremists who escaped the US-led war in Afghanistan are now hiding in Europe and they are ready to hit at any time. This is an interview that's been published in Le Monde newspaper that says that it's based on information from 6 French suspected extremists who have been held at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba and been questioned by US authorities, and they've said that they've been trained to be financially independent and to use false papers to travel within Europe, and there is some expectation that there are others who are more or less ready to go. The other obvious security threat on the world agenda at the moment is Iraq. President Bush will be talking about that to the UN General Assembly in a few hours from now. Prime Minister Howard has been one of those who supported the American position on this. There has been some cooling of the rhetoric. According to the Prime Minister, President Bush describes himself these days as a peacemonger. In an interview with Laurie Oakes, which was given particularly for this anniversary of September 11, Mr. Howard said the President has told him that American troops will only be sent to Iraq if that is unavoidable. Here's that interview.
Prime Minister, you were in Washington when the terrorists struck. How did you feel when you realised the enormity of it?
Oh, shocked. It took a while to realise, well, in terms of hours, to realise just how things had changed.
Were you afraid?
No, I wasn't afraid. In something like that, you don't sort of...
Angry?
Yes, I was angry, but I just felt a great sense of empathy for them. I felt sorry for them. It's possible to feel sorry for the mightiest power the world has ever known, but I did, because they were just like reduced to state of vulnerability and fragility.
Just the day before, you'd had a long talk with President Bush at the White House. You'd been briefed at the Pentagon. Did those briefings include terrorism?
No.
So terrorism wasn't on the President's mind at all?
No, I don't, not that I recall, and not on mine.
Now, the planes crashed into the Twin Towers in the Pentagon. You see that as an event that will change the world forever. What, at that point, did you see as your main task?
Well, my main task was to properly express our feelings towards America, because I was in the national capital. But I also wanted to talk to as senior people as I could, and I was able to talk to Rich Armitage, who's the Deputy Secretary of State, and we had a very lengthy discussion about what it meant, and we, by that time, were starting to talk about Afghanistan and about the Al-Qaeda connection and the necessity of doing something about their activities in Afghanistan. So that really began to be discussed as early as the day after.
You know, it's been said that this helped you in the election because voters suddenly wanted certainty and stability in a dramatically more uncertain world. Do you accept that analysis?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I'd do anything to wind the clock back to the 10th of September and prevent this from having happened. I mean, that's the only way I can answer a question like that. But, I mean, I think the public felt we gave the right response to a difficult situation, and if that had an impact, well, so be it. But I certainly didn't seek to exploit the issue politically. I mean, it was a horrible event, and I just wish it hadn't happened.
Now, Australia's support for the US was unhesitating, making us a more likely target for terrorists. How concerned are you about the threats in Jakarta and Dili?
Concerned. I think there is evidence of terrorist influences in our part of the world. Whether you support the United States or not doesn't necessarily determine whether you are a target. And there are some countries that are more seriously racked by terrorism than a country like Australia, which are not as close to the United States as is Australia. But in the end, you have to do what is right. And this idea that if you make yourself as irrelevant as possible and roll away from the United States, that is going to guarantee that you won't be subject to some kind of attack. Not only is it morally questionable, but of course you've got no guarantee that it's going to work anyway.
Now,
Let's leave the